Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Nate the Lighting Guy. Right here in front of me I have 4 American DJ Stinger units. These lights have been installed in a roller rink for about 3 years. These have been taken down and replaced with Stinger 2s because these now have a few issues. Allow me to demonstrate. For the swarm colors, we have red, we have green, we have blue, we have white, we have amber, and we have pink. As you can see, not all the lights are showing up in there. There's definitely some LEDs burnt out inside of here. As for the laser, we have red, and we have green, all of which seem to be working. And then we also have the white strobes. This light right here is the one that seems to be burnt out. Besides the swarm effect, these lights do seem to be in good condition. The good news is that the swarm effect can be fixed. And how I'm going to do that is I purchased 4 American DJ swarm LED boards that produce the light output for the swarm effect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up each of these units, take out the board with the burnt out LEDs, and replace it with one of these new ones to get the swarm effect back into working condition. Let's get to work. Before I get to taking this apart, this is not exactly a simple fix. It is a swap of a board, but you gotta know that the LED board inside for the swarm effect is actually used as a breakout board for each of these strobe lights inside. And as I open up the unit, you'll see what I'm talking about on the inside. So we're going to get right to it. I'm going to get taking this apart and show you how I am going to repair this. First off, we need to take off the bracket. This cover here is able to be removed by simply removing 12 screws on the top here. It's divided along right here, so this top part just comes right off. Alright, so now the screws are all off for this top cover. It simply just slides up like that. There's a bit of a grounding cable that's attached to here. That will just need to be removed. So there's 3 parts to this little screw thing. There's the I don't know exactly what they're called, but there's 3 parts to it. Just make sure you remember the order that... What I was going to tell you is that I was going to attach them right back on this post before I flung them everywhere. Alright, now that that's out of the way, we need to next remove this front part here, and in order to do that, need to remove the these screws around here. But before I do that, I need to right along the sides here, there's 2 cables that come in that that run up along here to the center of the unit where the LED board is. And you need to actually go inside here, open up those metal tabs that's clamping the, that clamps the cable to the side of the case here, so that when we remove this we can just move it upward and it won't be holding the cable down because we don't want to stretch or damage that. It's those braces that are holding it in. So they're folded one over another, so I just push them back, and I hope you can see that. And now it's these ones over here. I'll be careful because I need to be careful because I can poke myself here with these mirrors that are on here. And I like to bend the tabs back far enough so that they're close to the case, so that when you set the top part of it down, it doesn't scratch up against them. But as long as they're open, as you can see inside there, that's just what we're looking for. Okay, now let's start removing some screws. I also say be careful too, because in these units I've often found little shards of glass that probably came from the application of the mirrors inside this unit, which is kind of unusual because I don't think you'd want any of that kind of broken glass. Now I removed the bottom screws here, but keep these two on so that you can flip this up and then remove them without having to without having the front of it flip over on you. Oh, there it goes. Then keep your hand up front there so holding it in place. There we go. Now this is important here. It's a lift up, move it forward, and then set it down so that this laser part thing here is flat on the table. The next thing we're going to need to do is remove all the little cables running to the strobe lights. So with this, it's just a simple matter of unplugging those. Do be careful though. Some of the other units had these connectors glued, and you have to use a bit of force to remove them. I've even had to use some needle nose pliers to pull at them. And I would just say be careful when doing that because they're not easy to apply when they're glued. I'll just put it that way. Next part is to remove these black cable connectors. I'd recommend also prying open this brace here that's holding these cables in to kind of give it a little bit of slack. So let's see here. We'll go with the top one first. There we go. It's hard to get a good grip on these connectors, unfortunately. They're not really easy to unplug. But if you find that having other ones in the way is preventing you from removing a cable, try removing another one first. There we go. So they're all disconnected, except for this one and this little one right here. go. You may have to clip that zip tie if it's too close to it. Next part here is to remove the 4 screws. To remove the 4 screws that are right here, 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 and here. These are what's holding the board in. These other screws are holding the front laser cover in. And then simply it's just a slide out operation, and the board is removed. If you happen to have the PCB that's version 1.0 and the wires come through this hole, the best way to get this out is to probably take off the rest of the cover here and thread the wires through. The not recommended way, and the way I'm going to do it, is I'm just going to cut the hole through the circuit board. So here we go. Just also being careful not clipping any of the other wires around it. There we go. And then with that, the wires are now free. There we go. And all of it is a matter of, all it takes is a matter of sliding that right in there. And then we'll be screwing it back in using the same screws in the same place that the previous board was. Make sure those are nice and snug, and now we can start plugging in the strobe light. There we go. With all the LED strobes plugged back in, now we can get back to the big black cables. So plug the bottom one in first. Basically go in the opposite direction, the way we took it apart. Make sure those cables snap right in there. There we go. Now everything's attached. Just make sure you close those cable holders again. And that should do it. Before I put this thing back together, I still need to repair one of the burnt out white LEDs on this unit, which was this one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and get that cable unplugged. And then with a screwdriver, start unscrewing this board. Now this is held in by a spring suspension on both sides of these two tabs right here. And so as I remove the screws, it will pop out the reflector on the bottom of it, and the spring things you'll see in just a moment are what's keeping it on there. So comes out below. And then here's the little LED board. First thing I'm going to do to make this a little more accessible is I'm going to be removing these little spring tabs right here. There we go. So it just takes a little bit of a plier squeeze. There we go. So now we're just down to the LED board. Okay, so here's the LED at my soldering station. Now what I'm assuming is that this LED is glued onto this board. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to desolder the leads that go on this board. I'm going to pry them up so that I can safely remove this LED without damaging the contacts here. I have a replacement diode right here for it. Actually, it's not in frame. There you go, replacement diode for right here. It's not the 3-watt one, it's a 1-watt one, but when I tried that with this, it still worked, so I'm just going to go with it. Start getting that removed. Good one. Okay, that one's up. There we go. Got it. Alright, the contacts are now cleared, which means that all I have to do now is remove the diode from it. And this just wanted to fall into pieces, so we'll go with it. Yeah, this is going to require a little bit of a different kind of force here. I'm going to go to the garage, I'm going to mount this on the workbench. I'm going to stick a flathead screwdriver like right there, take the hammer and go whang on that, and that should break it off. The only problem about doing this too, and what I really don't like about manufacturers gluing their LEDs to the boards, is that if you ever need to replace it, you basically have to damage the board to make that happen. And I hope to make a video about that in the future, so I'm going to go take this out to the garage. I'll be right back. Well, I got it off. Not without bending it, though. It's a good thing this thing was a heatsink instead of a regular PCB, because otherwise that'd be really broken by now. And all of that to get this little piece off, which is the heatsink portion of the LED. Why do manufacturers have to glue their LED to the boards? That's a rant for another time. Okay, let's get this thing fixed. If you're looking at this and wondering if you should do the same to fix it, I would recommend just going and buying the new board from the parts.adj.com site, because honestly, even if you're a do-it-yourself repair person like I am, this is nearly too much of a risk to be like, this is a feasible repair. Which I didn't know was going to be this difficult to remove, but this is the first time I've forcefully removed an LED off of the this particular board for the American DJ one. Some of the cheaper Chinese ones, the Chinese knockoffs that I have repaired, I've been able to chip off the LEDs off those ones with a little less force than I had to do with this one. So yeah, it's not ideal, if you know what I'm saying. So just want to make sure that that's centered on there. And let's get that soldered. So good news, I tested it and it works now, so I am going to take these spring things and stick them back on there. Push them back through the holes. And now, stick it back on there. So the lens piece goes in like that. This board just comes in on top. I'm just going to take a tad bit of pressure on here because I've got to hold it down while I screw these in. Alright, those are all in. While it does look rough, it did work. So, let's stick this right in there. And then, we'll continue putting this back together. Lift up, and slide it down into place. And to make sure that you have the holder in place, just make sure you stick in those two screws on the side before you clamp the cables down. Actually, I should use this one. Here we go. Now that that's in place, I'm going inside and reclamping those cables to the side of the case. There we go. Now, just going to attach the rest of the screws to the bottom and sides here. Then before reattaching the cover, just gotta make sure we get this ground wire reattached. And I like to make sure that the wire is lined up like this, so that it doesn't interfere with anything inside. Nice and secure. Then just slide the cover on and start screwing it in. I'm just loosely putting them in now to make sure all the screws align. Alright, now for the alignment. Alright, let's give it a check to make sure everything's working. So we got red, green, blue, white, amber, and pink. Alright, all those are working now, yay. I'm going to go on, move on to show mode 2 to test the strobe. Okay. Here we go. Alright. It's all working now. Let's check the laser on show mode 3. And those are working as well. Alright. It's now fixed. The last thing to put back on is the bracket, and we'll be good to go. That wraps it up for the repair for this unit. It takes careful disassembly to get to the Swarm LED board, as you saw in the video. It's not very convenient, but it can be done.
You can buy the LED boards you need from parts.adj.com, and I would certainly recommend buying a new strobe board instead of trying to chip the LED off the board as I did, because there is a high chance it will break. Until next time, I'm Nate the Lighting Guy, and thanks for watching.